Hello, folks. Welcome to another episode of Coach Talk. Today, I'm joined by head women's basketball coach for Patrick Henry Community College, Herb Daniel.
This episode of Coach Talk is brought to you by P2C Athlete Prep.
Coach Daniel, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. I appreciate having me on.
Definitely. So let's kind of delve into this thing. One of the things that we try to do here at Coach Talk is empower parents and student athletes and educate them on the recruiting process. So let's get into it.
Okay.
So, Coach, you just took over the program there mid-season. So how's that transition been for you so far?
It has turned out to be a great blessing. As you said, I took over mid-season, and the young ladies have really come together and molded as a team. We have a great core group. I have about 7 young ladies, and it is a great core that's going to be part of something very special next year.
So, Coach Daniels, congratulations on the new job. So what has been one of the, I guess, biggest adjustment pieces for you transitioning from being a head high school women's coach, well, girls basketball coach, to now coaching women's basketball at the junior college level?
A couple things. The recruiting process is always going to be challenging, especially when you come into a junior college and, having to go out and explain to parents and, players the benefit of being able to do that, especially when, you come into a situation where a number of young ladies may have higher expectations than possibly coming to a junior college to play. But that's been kind of an eye opener for me. Other than that, everything else is right along the same lines. Coaching is coaching, understanding the X's and O's and personalities and those things.
And so you mentioned benefits there. So what are some of those benefits that a student athlete who is looking to continue to play in college could gain from that 2-year or even that 1-year experience there at a junior college?
And I'm glad you said 1 year or 2 years as well, because a lot of times you'll have athletes, they'll see 2 years and they'll think that's, it's locked in at 2 years, but you are correct, 1 year or 2 years. And some of those benefits are a couple of things. One, you're going to show a college coach, a 4-year coach, that you can handle the academics of a college, and you can also handle the stress level and everything that comes along with being a student athlete. So it's almost like a trial run. And I always tell the players that are coming in, I'm not recruiting them just to come to Patrick Henry Community College. I'm recruiting them to go to the next level, to stay with me that 1 or 2 years, get a little fine tuning, and then move on to the next level.
Definitely. So what type of player, in your opinion, do you think would get the best, I guess, advantage of going that junior college route? Is it someone who doesn't have the grades, someone who feels like they didn't get the looks, and so this is another opportunity for them? Like, what type of student athlete do you think would benefit the most from that?
Well, I would tell you the type of athletes that I look for is high character. That has to be number one. What type of person are you overall? And in terms of answering your question there, I think those players that may not have necessarily received the looks that they possibly could have received because maybe they went to a smaller school, or they were unaware, or their high school coach was unaware of how to really promote that student. But you have to be a student before being a student athlete, even leaving high school. One of the things that I look at is I look at grades. I have recruited 6 young ladies to come into our program. They have a combined GPA of a 4.1 out of the 6 young ladies that I've recruited. So I look for those students that are already students first.
Definitely. And that's good stuff right there. So making that transition from the high school to college and then getting out there on the recruiting trail. So what are some of the things that you are looking for as you look to recruit players for Patrick Henry there? Like, what are some of the traits as far as on the court that you're looking for as a coach?
You know, one of the things that I'm beginning to realize as a high school coach, I sent out just a magnitude of film on some of my young ladies. And I really wasn't exactly sure what I was sending. A lot of times I was sending a highlight here or a highlight there. But as a coach, you know, you're looking for that young person that can score, you know, at all three levels. Can you score from the wing? Can you score, you know, can you score in the post? Can you score mid-range? So you're looking for someone that can do that. But I will tell you, ultimately, is you're looking for someone who has a lot of energy, someone who can really get after it on the defensive end of the ball. You know, you want that player that can play both ends of the floor. You look at basketball IQ. A lot of young players now do not have a lot of basketball IQ. They are living with the, physicality, or they're living with the athleticism, and they're not exactly sure how to play the game. So some of those things I look for, but I also look for, you know, that one or two, what I call a diamond in the rough, where I can see a young lady playing and I'm going, you know what, with a little bit of tweaking here and there, she could be really, really good. I ran into that situation with a young lady that's on the team this year, and she was averaging about 7 or 8 points a game prior. She's now a double-double, you know, 15, 16 points a game at a minimum with 12 or 13 rebounds. And it was just a very small thing that was teaching her how to go to the basket, how to use her body to protect the ball, just small things like that.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Now, with COVID and everything, you guys are obviously playing a shortened season. Do your players get a additional year of eligibility there if they want it, or did they not do that at the junior college level? I'm curious.
That's a great question. We are a junior college, a D2 junior college, and yes, they will have an additional year of eligibility. And just kind of like, you know, your NCAA teams that are out there. So the answer to that question is 100% they will have an additional year of eligibility.
Nice. So how has that impacted how you're recruiting? I know you said you brought in.
That's another great question. Correct. That's another great question, because now I'm going to have to look at whether I'm going to have a 3-year player versus a 2-year player. And then what am I going to do with that 3-year player? Because let's say theoretically a young lady decides to stay 2 more years because she has this year plus 2 more because of COVID, and she becomes a 3-year player. And then I'm still continuing to recruit. Now I have a 1-year player in, a 3-year player in, and then I got to figure out how do you manage that. So that's one of the reasons my players, that even though they get an additional year, all of my players within that 1 year, I am trying to find them, you know, a 4-year school that they can move on to, because that's going to create sort of like a, you know, like a little stop fall there.
Yep, definitely. So tell us a little bit about Patrick Henry. What do you guys have to offer there in lovely Martinsville, Virginia, Henry County area?
Okay, I think you're familiar with Martinsville, but I'll share with the public. It's a small area in Lower Virginia. Not a lot of people, not a really big town, but the school I think is ideal for, you know, that young person that wants to get 1 or 2 more years before they move on to maybe a little larger city. It was a big tobacco town. So the school still kind of benefits from some additional funds and things there. You know, although we are a D2 JUCO and we don't necessarily have athletic scholarship money, we have numerous of money that's available to students who have good grades or who does a certain amount of things in the community service and those type things. So, they offer anywhere up between 10, 15 degrees, and they're still working on a couple of more, nursing being one of the big programs that they have there, criminal justice, just to name a couple of business classes obviously are there as well. And you can actually leave there with your associates before you move on. And another wonderful thing, and not just about Patrick Henry, about some of the other community colleges in Virginia, they have agreements with your four-year schools such as Virginia, JMU, and other schools that are in Virginia that once you complete your 2 years at that community college with a certain GPA, you're automatically accepted into one of those four-year schools. Now, not automatically accepted into their basketball program, make sure you understand that, but to be able to go there and become a student.
Definitely. And yeah, so for those that don't know, Patrick Henry is in the Henry County, Martinsville, Virginia area, my hometown. So for me to have the opportunity to sit down and talk to Coach Daniel, I mean, it's surreal for me to be able to put a spotlight on my hometown on this platform. I think it's huge, and every opportunity that we can do that, we will. So Patrick Henry is a D2 JUCO. You guys don't have dorms there, so how do you guys work that situation with students who may be from out of town and making those arrangements for them for having somewhere to live?
That's a great question as well. As I said before, although we don't have academic monies, and that's another reason too, I recruit such high GPAs, because there are so many scholarships that are available for those students that the only cost that they generally incur would be their apartment. And the apartment runs anywhere between $250 or $300 a month, but that's you sharing with someone. So it's a $600 apartment for most of the apartments, and you're paying essentially $300, maybe $350 by the time you put your lights and your water and those type things in there. So basically, the student is paying for their room and board, which is an apartment cost. And everything else is generally taken care of depending on what your grades are and some of the things that you were able to do in high school, as well as transfer. We received a great transfer from one of our local four-year schools, and that young lady is coming here, and her parents are ecstatic because the price went from about $50,000 to about $5,000.
So let's talk about that kind of a little bit. Being in that Martinsville, Henry County area, a lot of talent in that Piedmont, especially in the Piedmont district, Danville, a lot of local schools there with a lot of talent. But
Absolutely,
you've extended that reach for PH well beyond the boundaries of Henry County to bring in a lot of these players you've brought in this year, correct?
That is absolutely correct. As I told the athletic director when he brought me on board, my number one thing would be to recruit the local area. I wanted to try to make sure we own that area, that if any young lady who was a talent, that we were not going to, and she wanted to play basketball at the next level, we were not going to let her get away. So you have schools like Martinsville that I know you're aware of, and all the number of state championships they have won. You have Patrick County, you have Magna Vista, you have Bassett. So you have a number of really good high schools in that area with talented programs. And then I expanded my reach out to other places in Virginia. Northern Virginia, the Tidewater area, and even down in Southwest Virginia, where you have a lot of good basketball there. And I was able to speak with some of those coaches. And by me being a former high school coach, I have a good relationship with a lot of the other high school coaches in the state. So I'm able to reach out to them and say, do you have a player, that you need for us to take a look at? And that was one of the reasons we were able to get the young lady who had transferred, because I spoke with the coach at Spotswood High School. And I said, well, Coach, what do you have there? He said, Coach, I don't, but I have a young lady that went to school. Things didn't work out for her. She may be great for your program. And she was very instrumental on that particular team winning a state championship. And I think she is going to be great for us. But even further than that, I love basketball. My daughter played basketball at West Point. My sons played basketball, at a junior college. So I travel whenever I can and look at tournaments. So I found myself in North Carolina at a tournament, and I made a great connection with the coach down there. And as soon as I took this job, I gave him a call and said, Coach, look, this is where I am now. You told me what you have been able to do with some of your students. What do you have? And we recruited her. She's a young lady from Brazil, but she happened to have been in a private school in North Carolina for the last 3 years. So we actually have 2 international students. I had a young lady who played for me last year from Spain, Barcelona area, and she is now with us. So you are correct. That's a big difference from high school and college level as well. High school, you have to play with who happens to be in your district. College, in my opinion, the entire world is open to me. I'm working with a young lady from Africa right now.
Yeah, you've taken that program global really quick.
Absolutely.
And so
absolutely. And it's going to continue to expand.
And that's awesome. Especially bringing in all those different students into that area, that influx of talent, and not just on a basketball court, but from a mental and a economic standpoint of bringing in people from different areas of the world into Martinsville and really injecting some of that into the culture there, I think is awesome.
And you said it too, the culture there as well. And that you're absolutely correct, because when you're bringing people from different parts of the country, different parts of even the United States, there's a culture difference. And for everyone to be able to come together and be able to be successful. I'm retired military, and I've had to travel a number of places, and you're meeting people from different areas that you're not familiar with, and you find yourself making some of the best friends in the world with, with places and things that you were not even familiar with.
Definitely. I still have friends that are from the military, from other countries, from different assignments. That you're definitely right about that. So let's kind of look at I want to touch on that 1 and 2 year difference and what that means to a student athlete. So I guess it was probably 2012 or 13 when the NCAA made the rule where if you were a non-qualifier, you had to have your associate degree. But for all those, and so that means that student athlete, if they weren't a non-qualifier for an NCAA school, is going to have to do 2 years to get that associate's degree. But if they were a qualifier, they could come there for that 1 year and then transfer on if they found a school that was a fit for them. So how are you leveraging that as you start to go down this path and growing that program at Patrick Henry? Like that balance of the non-qualifiers, the qualifiers, 1 year, 2 years, like that balance has got to be pretty tricky. And everybody's just seen Last Chance U, the basketball version. So that's really put junior colleges on a map. And with the clearinghouse or the eligibility center and the transfer portal having 800 plus players trying to transfer, and all these players got another year at that 4-year school level, like that's got to be something that you've got to balance as well as you go down this road.
Correct.
And so, how
Correct.
do you plan?
And, you know, I'm gonna be
doing
honest
that
with you.
balance?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. As I just now started this, as you know, not more than a month and a half ago. I'm still learning all the rules, regulations, and my athletic director gave me the book that's about that thick of all the rules and everything in there to make sure that I don't make any missteps. And I'm still reading that. But I would tell you, just to answer part of that question or that question there, and this is what I'm trying to get through to even a lot of the high school kids that are. Some of them are still waiting. I'm waiting to see if this college is going to give me a chance. And right now I'm recruiting for next year immediately. I want my team together, very quickly so we can start doing some Zooms in the summer. And when we're allowed to work out together and those type of things, we're able to do some of those things. But what we're finding is that a lot of the students, because of COVID, this year kind of really threw a monkey wrench into a lot of things. A lot of those students that may have been recruited were not, because they were not seeing their senior year. And a lot of them are still waiting to see if they hear from a respective school. And I'm trying, making sure that they understand, look, right now, NCAA has given an additional year of eligibility to players. So that school that may have had a potential a roster of 3 people, I need 3 people, they may not need that now. Because guess what? I have 3 young ladies who's going to stay, or men that's going to stay that additional year. So yes, navigating those waters are very, very tough, very, very tricky. I do think everything will get back on track within a year. But right now it's tough. And it may be even more. I see you shake your head. I agree. It may be a little bit more than a year because. So you think 5 because having someone to stay that long is really difficult for the ones that are trying to get in there.
I think it's going to be 5 years before recruiting goes back to where it was before COVID. Because if you think about it, right, the 2021 class has 5 years. They have 5 years.
Correct.
And so
Correct.
You won't see a large class going back to a 4-year school to probably 2024, 2025. Just because that sophomore has 4 years. That junior's got 3 years. And so it's going to be interesting, and it's going to impact recruiting classes all the way down to like kids that are 8th graders now will probably be the first class to walk into a 4-year school, and there'll be a class where they bring in 5 or more players.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm going to definitely use this to my advantage. Like I said, I am 100% aggressively recruiting. And because of you're going to have that time period where, it's somewhat, for lack of better words, discombobulated a little bit there. I'm going to use everything that I can to grab those players. And hopefully by the time it stretches back out to where you say it should be, we have then developed a reputation that this is a place that you want to go for 1 or 2 years prior to going on. Even if you have a D2 offer, you may think, hey, let me see if I can go to this community college for 1 year, 2 years, and up my status, which is one of the things that I'm trying to get students to understand as well. They may look at you now and say, okay, I think they may be a D2, D3 player or D2 player. You come to a community college for 2 years, work your behind off, get your academics up, do all of those things, and all of a sudden, you're now a grade higher than you were coming out of high school. And you have a couple more years of maturity, which college coaches look for. They want those low, I guess what you call low maintenance athletes. I only have to work with you on the court, or I only have to work with you on the field. I don't have to worry about you coming to class on time. I don't have to worry about you staying out all hours and not being able to do what you're supposed to do in the classroom. Give me a low maintenance athlete that's going to work hard, and I'll work with you.
Definitely. I mean, I would say to the person, every coach that I've talked to, Division II, even some of the Division III coaches, but Division II and above, will tell you to the man, their current roster, if that player isn't a headache, they're bringing them back if they want to come back, because they're getting they're getting a seasoned collegiate player. And in most cases, I'm getting an adult. I'm not getting I'm not getting a teenager. I'm getting an adult. I'm getting someone.
And I will tell you, I am bringing back, I have given the option of all the young ladies that I have an option of coming back. However, having said that, they also know that I am recruiting very vigorously, very aggressively. So they know that they have this summer to continue to work on those things that they may need to improve, because someone else is coming in right behind them. That little baby's coming in right behind them and looking to push them out the door. So you have to continue to work. But like you said, and like I tell my players, you got a benefit. You're playing for me right now. You're playing for the coach right now. So you know what to expect. Those that are coming in, they still have to learn. So therefore, use that to your benefit, to your advantage. And you're right. The 4 years schools are probably doing the exact same thing.
Oh yeah, it was. I was talking to one coach, and she was like, "I'm not recruiting anybody for the next 2 years. My roster's set for the next 2 years."
Absolutely.
And so that right there, that's 2021, 2022, not getting recruited.
Correct.
And
you are right. You are right.
And so what that does for junior colleges is it probably opens the doors to a level of athlete that probably wouldn't have been there before.
Correct.
And I think that parents and students need to understand that fact and realize that they should be trying to leverage a junior college the same way that you guys are trying to leverage getting talent in is leveraging that to get to a position to where they can step right in and contribute at a 4-year school in 2 years. Otherwise, they're going to be paid for the school. They're going to just be a student.
Absolutely. And I will tell you that's one of those hidden nuggets that I don't think that some of the parents realize. But once it happens, then they're going to be very grateful. It's like you said, you'll be able to come to a 2-year school. And generally, most of those 2 years are your basic courses. You have to have a certain amount of math, certain amount of English, a certain amount of sciences, social sciences. There are some basic classes. No matter what school you have to go to, you're going to have to take those classes. So if you can take them for a fraction of a cost, and then you can play on a team. And plus, we're going to have a very exciting schedule. We've already scheduled a team in Rhode Island, a team in New York, and then we got a couple down south that we're looking at. So we're going to have a very exciting schedule next year. So if you can come and play that exciting schedule where you will get more exposure, you can come and work on your academics of classes that you're going to have to take anyway and save your parents 1 or 2 years of monies. That is a win-win. And oh, by the way, make that junior college coach very, very happy that he's getting a lot of talent.
Definitely. Yeah, so no pressure here, nothing, Herb. No, but the first year that PH was a Division II junior college, they went undefeated all the way to the national championship, and that was their only loss. And that team was coached by a Martinsville legend, Mr. Tony Jones. So I got to give a shout out to Tony here. Yeah, got to give a shout out to Tony here for helping build that program, for one. But the other piece to that was his backcourt became the starting backcourt for VCU.
Wow. Impressive.
So they had a
and like you said, and I'm glad you said there's no pressure. Thank you. I appreciate that. But as you know, because you are from Martinsville, I reached out to you and asked, hey, who can I talk to? And then you gave me that name, and I've been in touch with him, and he's given me some great information that I would definitely try to capitalize on. But no, you are right. Talent is here. It is not only here, but it's definitely in the state of Virginia. It's just a matter of capitalizing on that. And by what's going on now with the COVID year, and schools are going to maintain and retain those players for more than 5 years, this is an opportunity to try to get some of those players to come in now and hopefully, recoup some of that success.
Definitely. So, Coach, we'll close with, I'll give you your final remarks to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about there. Floor is yours.
Now look at your small junior colleges. If you get the right coach in there, you get the right players, right athletic director, some special things can happen. And I think that is going to happen here at Patrick Henry. As I told you before, I've been able to recruit some very talented young ladies. One is a McDonald's All-American nominee. One was, one of the top players in the state of North Carolina. So I think when people start to see that, they're going to want to come here. It's kind of like the old saying, winning begets winning, or iron sharpens iron. Our goal is to get some of the best players here, and then go play some of the best competition. And that's one of the reasons we're reaching out to some of these other top junior colleges and said, hey, we want to come play you, just so we can kind of test ourselves. So in my final closing words there, I would tell you, Patrick Henry Community College in Martinsville is where you want to give an opportunity to.
Good deal, Coach. Good to coach. And I'll be remiss if I don't mention this fact. So Coach Daniel is one of our evaluators when we do our Top Gun Elite showcases. And you'll be in Missouri in May, right?
Yes, I'll be in Missouri. I will be in Missouri with you. So
you can see right there, our evaluators, our coaches, current college coaches. It'd be him. Our director of operations is actually another junior college head coach. We're going to get on here one day, Keith Staggs. So they both took head coaching jobs this year. And then we got Aaron Bryant up at Washington College, who's an assistant coach at Division III. So I'm excited, man. I'm definitely excited for what you're doing there at Patrick Henry and the direction you have that program going. I think it needed some new blood in there, some new lifeline in there to bring in some new ideas. I think they had taken the program probably about as far as they could. And so I'm excited, looking forward to what you're going to do there. And you always know you got an ally in me whenever you need me. So, but folks, this has been Coach Talk. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.